The group reaches an inviting straightaway, and Nancy picks up a gentle lope. But soon she hears Bess shout behind her, "Wait!" Nancy brings her horse to a halt and spins around. George pulls up behind her. Bess soon comes trotting up the trail. She looks fed up. "I have had it with this horse. I can't keep him from eating. Somebody trade horses with me, please." George is mortified. "Are you kidding? Tex would have a cow." "Or a horse." "You'll never know. Anyway, he's wrong. You know I can handle riding a faster horse. We can trade back before we get back to the ranch. Please, my arms are so tired from pulling his head up I can barely lift them." George sighs and slides down from the saddle. "Here, you can ride Smoky." Relieved, Bess dismounts. The cousins trade reins and adjust their stirrups, then mount back up. George leans down and gives the buckskin a firm pat. "You, pal, are about to go on a diet." The girls keep riding and eventually find themselves in the shadow of a steep, jagged ridge. Nancy spots 4 dark brown hawks perched on various cacti in the narrow valley at the base of the ridge, their eyes intent on the ground. "Look, those are Harris hawks." George sees them too. "Is that like a family of them?" "No, they're hunting. They hunt in groups. If they spot something, one of them will flush it while the others go after it. Whatever they catch, they share." Bess grimaces. "I hope they don't catch anything soft and cuddly while I'm watching." Searching the sky for more hawks, Nancy spots a figure standing atop the ridge above them.
Someone's
We have
coming.
this shadowy figure who is spying on Nancy and her friends. "Wonder who that is," she says, shading her eyes and pointing to the silhouette. "Definitely a guy," Bess observes. The figure turns and moves out of sight. Left without saying a word, George throws Bess a wry smile. "Probably someone you dated." "Well, he wasn't running for his life, so we know it wasn't anyone you dated." "Shush, you guys," Nancy whispers. "Maybe he's the one who left the cooler for the wildcat. Let's follow him." The girls climb up the ridge on foot, leading their horses through dense thickets of scrub oak. When they get to higher ground, the figure is nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, an eerie scream shatters the air. "Ah!" "What was that?" George whispers. Alarmed, the girls scan their surroundings while the horses shift their weight nervously, eager to run away. Whatever it was, it sounded close, Nancy observes. "Can we get out of here, please?" Bess whimpers. The girls continue their way, trying to keep their horses as calm as possible. "Something's coming," Nancy warns, her eyes on the thicket, quivering in front of them, her horse veering in fear beneath her. Suddenly, Dave bursts out of the thick brush on horseback. He pulls up when he sees the girls. "Get back to the ranch," he orders, "right now!"
Welcome to Shadow Ranch.
The girls obey without a word and gallop back to the ranch. Only when the barn comes into view does Bess remember that she's not riding the horse Tex assigned her. Bess and George quickly dismount and trade horses, then all 3 hurry to the barn. Reaching the open doors, they hear the awful scream again. "Oh my gosh," Bess whimpers. "It's following us." They quickly untack their horses, then head for the ranch house. On the porch, they run into Shorty, retrieving his pie plate. "That's the last time I'm going outside today. You gals hear that cougar?" Yes, the scream was the cougar. Nancy nods. "Twice. It sounded pretty close." "Well, not to worry. Ed called it in, so CJ should be arriving directly to assess the situation." He lifts the lid of a ceramic pie plate so they can admire the perfectly browned and cooled pie within. "I spent all day on it," he says proudly. "Say, what's in the cooler?" "Something for Uncle Ed to check out," Nancy replies quickly. Uncle Ed scratches his chin after viewing the frozen deer leg the girls found in the mountains. "I think you're right. Whoever left this up there is probably feeding the wildcat." "We should keep this to ourselves," Nancy advises. "No need to share this clue with everyone, especially since we don't know who's behind it." Later that afternoon, the sound of an approaching truck draws their attention to the door. A pickup with "Fish and Game Department" decal on its side pulls to a stop. Its cargo bed is filled with ropes, tarps, and cages of various sizes. Uncle Ed and the girls go outside to greet the tall, dark-haired young man climbing down from the driver's seat. Uncle Ed smiles gratefully as he extends his hand to the visitor. "Hey, CJ, thanks for getting here so fast." "No problem," the young man says, wiping his hands on his jeans and leaving behind long, dark smudges. "Good to see you again, Ed." He grins as he finally shakes the man's hand. "Sorry, it's been a dirty day." "These are my nieces, Bess and George, and their friend Nancy. Girls, this is CJ Evans." "You're the expert on mountain lions?" Bess asks, flashing her friendliest smile as she gives his hand a lengthy shake. "Mountain lions and pretty much every other critter that runs, flies, swims, or crawls out here," he responds. "Now, which direction did this scream you heard come from?" Nancy points. "From over there, the hill behind the corral." "Good." He turns to Ed. "I won't know for sure what we're dealing with till I find some tracks, but in the meantime it'd be a good idea for you and your guest to stay close to the ranch." Uncle Ed nods. "If you need a horse, just drive on down to the barn and grab Sugarfoot." "Will do, thanks." The young man scoots back into his truck and heads for the barn. As they watch him go, Nancy spots Dave entering the corral from the desert. "We're going down to the barn, Uncle Ed," Bess announces, pulling Nancy and George with her. "Come on, guys, let's go help CJ. Oh, and by the way, I got dibs." So, do we talk to CJ or Dave? Well, let's talk to CJ. The three girls find CJ leading Sugarfoot, a dark chestnut, out of the corral. "Need some help?" Bess chirps. "Sure," he shrugs. "George, go get Sugarfoot stuffed," she says, never taking her eyes off the young man. "Stuff?" George inquires dryly. "You mean his tack?" "Whatever," Bess says absently, still focused on CJ. "Here, let me brush him for you." CJ steps to one side as Bess takes the brush from him and starts grooming the horse. "Has Shadow Ranch had problems with mountain lions in the past?" Nancy asks. "This would be a first. Doesn't mean there aren't one or two around here. They just don't make a habit of coming this close to humans. There's plenty of game for them this year anyway. No need for them to be going after horses or cattle, or people." "So, say you find tracks," Beth says. "Then what'll you do?" "If it is a cat, I'll follow it and try to figure out what it's up to. Could take a while. Might have to spend the night." "Really?" Bess can scarcely believe her good fortune. "Might be a couple of nights. Depends on whether I wind up having to tranquilize it and haul it out of here. Might be sick, maybe even rabid." "Rabid?" Bess's smile wavers. After George returns with the saddle and bridle, CJ equips the horse. "We'll see," he says, and rides off. Now let's see what happens if you talk to Dave. "Found a couple of tracks about a half a mile up the hill," Dave drawls as he pulls the saddle off his horse. "We'll know more after CJ over there takes a peek at 'em, but it sure looks to me like our mountain lion." "Have you seen any around here before last night?" "Heard 'em before and seen tracks, but never this close to the ranch. Pretty rare to actually spot one. They're real good at camouflaging themselves." "Could you lure them out with food?" Nancy asks. Dave scratches his head. "Could be. If game were scarce or if the cougar was used to being fed that way. But there's plenty of deer and jackrabbits out there. No reason for it to be going after horses or people." "You still haven't told me what you were up to out in the middle of nowhere last night." Dave shrugs and feigns a sudden interest in his saddlebag. Oh, wow, take a look at that saddlebag. Whoa, it's a saddlebag. Woohoo, man, there are things inside there. Wow, and it's like this bag which is attached to a saddle. Wow, whoa, saddlebags are great." "I'll talk to you later," Nancy says. "Look forward to it," Dave smiles.